changed out, sure did. We ready to go if anybody ever wants
Just
to.
don't bump your head on
No,
it.
just, you can push it back to the wall.
Yeah, push it back for now. Yeah, push it back, yeah.
You get excited, you'll be a bump your head.
There you go.
But now, we're almost tech savvy. We've gone through it where we can sit right here and do all that other stuff. So y'all gonna be proud of us.
At least.
Can update that one?
No, they told me last week when you were on my road.
Well, we'll figure out some way. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the hour's arrived. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Griffin, I'm going to ask you if you would please give the invocation.
All right. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to gather here today to take care of our city business, look down upon us, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to make the right decisions for the citizens of our city. All these things we ask in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gentlemen, the agenda is set. This call meeting, as we've found out through corrections in the past, there's no alteration to this one. So I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda. Mr. Ramey's made a motion that we approve the agenda. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramey. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our work's cut out for us. Let's go. Okay, now, Mr. Ramey, I believe that you wanted us to discuss water quality and fire suppression before we got into item 5.
Well, actually, it runs right head on with each other that's there. I am highly concerned with the fact of taking care of our citizens here in Hazlehurst. And we are in a situation that we have lacking fire protection in our city. We already know our city water quality that we have. And I would like to be able to see us use our monies that we have that was in this contract before we went specifically to the project for Beasley's. There was actually 1.3 million that was in that. Am I correct, Kenny?
That's correct.
I would like to see us use this. And I was also told that we would not incur any more debt by doing this.
That's not true. We will not incur any more obligation, but we will incur more debt.
Right.
In other words, we can take the payments that we've been making that we paid also like when you sort of like we equate it to buying a lot of folks buying an automobile. They buy a car and run it for so many years and get down and they're making $500 a month payments and they get it down to it's not paid off, but they want to trade. And the payments are the same, but they got a new car, and instead of owing the $4,000 or $5,000 is left, they owe $35,000. But they're making the same payments. So we'll be making the same payments, and we'll have more debt.
I don't see how we have more debt if we pay it off, but Dan and I get lost in this finance part real quick. I'm going to refer that question to Kenny to be able to tell me how we can do that, as my wordage was coming from your wordage, Kenny, that we would not incur any more debt that would be there.
I think y'all are saying that the same thing, is that the old debt is replaced with the new debt, and
right.
The payments are the same. So there's not an increase in money that you have to spend. Is that
correct?
Right. Yes, right.
The money that we're spending is the same, but we have a different debt to spend. That's how I understood.
Right, same payments,
Right.
same where we are.
That's right.
We're not catching any more.
No, we're not going to have anything more to it, but it's just, as far as the payment wise goes, but we will be on the other debt as opposed to the old debt that is paid off.
We'll have $1 million and something dollars in new debt, but our payments will remain the
Will
same.
remain the same.
Remain the same,
Right.
because we're paying off the old debt.
Well, the old debt is just about, fact, we've already paid it off. It's already paid. So the debt is paid, and now the payment that we've been making could go in the bank or be used for other things, or it can go to amortizing, liquidating a new $1 million and something dollar debt for this new project. But we will be incurring additional debt, we just will not be incurring any additional financial load.
Ben, if I can be assured that we will be attacking and saving our citizens here in Hazlehurst and putting in these fire hydrants and looking at improving our water quality by possibility of putting in a new line, I can see that is going on with the project. Without it, I don't see it.
With
The project Beasley.
the entire package was.
We got it there.
All right, well, let's see if we can, real carefully, see if we can get the picture set straight. With, and we had the county involved, and us, 3 or 4 months ago, where the entire unit was one package. The 12-inch line that we're working on now, there's one segment of it. The new well and a new tank and some fire hydrants were all in one package. Even with us paying off this debt, it was close to being paid off. As I looked at it and looking at our tightness of our budget, I didn't think that we ought to bite off that at this time. And I said, look, we've got to have some help. We're going outside, let's go see if the county will help us to handle this. It's more than we can handle. We brought the county commissioners in here. We presented the fact that with a 1,200 and something feet of 12-inch line out to the sawmill, and it did connect the Baxley well, the Gill Street well. It'll go by where the new well is going to be placed under by the park. It'll go on out and go down by the golf course where the new tank will be overhead, and then go on and connect with the 12-inch line that we've already, half mile that we got going to the sawmill that we put in earlier, that we paid every penny of and got ready for this. So this whole package was more than we could chew. And when the county turned us down, we decided, I didn't decide it, we all decided that we'd better put this aside, that it was more than we could handle, and we laid it aside because we didn't get the help from the county that we were pleading for. Well, it laid on the corner of my, and it's still laying on the corner of my desk. About a month and a half ago, I don't know when it was, Andre, when did we meet with First Field out there, me and you and?
About 2 months ago.
2 months ago. They called out there and asked me to meet them out there, and I did. And y'all heard this story so many times, I know you're tired of hearing it. But they were going to have to spend, according to what those of the Beasley officials told me, approximately $750,000 for a tank, for a well. No, they were going to use our water. They were going to use our 8-inch pipe to fill the tank full of water. And then they were going to put a pump there to pump the water with the right amount of pressure. The tank was going to be a certain size that the insurance company required them to have an hour's water in case they had a fire to feed that sprinkler system. So they were going to build a tank sufficient to hold that quantity of water and put in a pump sufficient to pump it and do that themselves. Well, when they got to looking at that, sitting in that meeting, Phil Gerald, in the discussion, said that Beasley, if we could get the line out there, and Andrea had come up with a new source of money for this line of $500,000. Beasley said they'd put $350,000 in it, and I already knew that the line could be built for about $750,000. When he said he'd put $350 in it, and Andrea said she could get $500, that's $850,000. I said, I won't have a bit of problem selling this to the city council. And I brought it back to you, and you folks bought it. And that's exactly the way it was explained to me. Well, later, it didn't work out exactly that way, and as we well know. But in the end, what has happened, and this is where we are, this, again, you're looking at the whole package, and I'm trying to explain this to you now. Of that unit, of the big line that ties all of our wells and everything together, from the Baxter well, all through the Gill Street well, our city system, the new pump, the new tank, and then that's part of the thing is coming off of this package, that big package that we said we couldn't shoot by ourselves. So that's taking that off of it if we do this, if we go and take this and do it. Well, with the $500,000, the last meeting we had, and this is where we are now. The last meeting contingent upon the grant for $500,000. Beasley now has rescinded and said they'll put $200,000 in cash. That's $500,000 and two, that's $700,000. The project is $750 something plus some fees that we paid board under the railroad. It comes out to around $61,000 that I've mentioned to the county, and they've talked about it. So if they will come through, we got to get a commitment from them. But I have been told that they think that they can handle this. Now, we've got some folk here tonight. Are y'all still, let's see, are y'all still committed to the 61,000?
I don't think you can get them to commit to that tonight.
They couldn't
Can't do
commit
it.
to
Can't do
it,
it.
but they can, whatever.
Okay, well, that's what, another thing I can tell you now, that today we were on the phone with the grant people, and again, we feel very confident that we're going to get the grant, that it's coming. It will not, the decision will not be made till the end of September. So again, I think what the council needs to do, and I'm going to recommend this to you and plead with you to do it. If the grant comes through at the end of this month for $500,000, if we get the funds and Beasley, the boss man himself is committed to $200,000, and if the county will chip in the $61,000, then what all we got to do to try to get it all connected, I think we should vote contingent upon those things happening to get this segment of this project done.
Well, my opinion, this is just me. I'm gonna take and speak freely. They can't get the grant without us and everything, and if we can get the grant there, we have no return on our investment and everything, putting this water out there for fire suppression. My opinion, we're not getting anything back for fire suppression, if that's what this is used for. My opinion would be they pony up the $258,810.86 on top of the grant, and then go from there, because the citizens shouldn't have to pay for it. If it was we were getting a return on our investment, that would be something different. That's my opinion. Now, I don't know where the rest of you stand. I mean, like I said, we ran a line out there here with the EIP. It's been 4 years ago, 5 years ago now, and everything. Now we're going to take and put another line out there for nothing but fire suppression, and we're not going to, unless they have a fire and we're using this water or whatever else, we have no return on our investment there. But that's what this is designed for.
Well, let me put my spin on it.
Speak up a little bit, put your
I said, let me
microphone.
put my spin on it for a minute. Let's pretend just for a minute that it was the Johnson group, or the Ramey group, or the Stone group, or the Griffin group, or the Bloodworth group. You would want your community leaders to come forth and help you because you're creating jobs for your community. Now, you let that place shut down out there, and we're gonna have some more similar to the ghost town.
If we were gonna if they were gonna let that place shut down, they wouldn't be putting $50 to $60 million in it to improve it, you know?
$60 million, and they're asking for 61,000. That's just a drop in the bucket to help our businesses.
Are they taking it? I mean, but I'm putting it out there
I'm just saying,
as a return to the city
it
and
makes
everything, the city taxpayers.
It makes sense to do it, even if the county don't put $61,000 in it. It makes sense to do it. The business is giving you $200,000. You got a $500,000 grant. It makes sense to do it. Tell me where it don't make sense.
We ain't
So
gonna
we're not
do
getting
it.
any kind of revenue back for it, John. That's the reason that it doesn't make that much sense. I'm sorry I had asked for the fact that that Darrell would come and give us some words from the horse's mouth, you might say, to let us know exactly where we are. Something has come up and he couldn't make it. But that's where it's coming from. We do not get any revenue out at all. It's total expenditure for us. It's fire suppression only. And we have, our job is to think of the citizens first, the citizens of Hazlehurst. Although I do believe in Jeff Davis County, we are a part of Jeff Davis County. But when you start to look back at what you're just saying too, as the employment that is there for that corporation, they're broken into three parts. It's broken into some, the lowest part is the ones that are living in the city of Hazlehurst that work there. The next part is that are living in the county that work there. Actually, the next part is the ones that live out of the county that work there, and then the ones that live in our county that work there. But the lowest part is the citizens of Hazlehurst that are living downtown.
Well, you know what, it means something to me that a small town man from Hazlehurst, Georgia made a global operation. And that says something to me.
I mean, it's a good businessman.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, I think, in my opinion, that it's good for business.
When I was sitting there that day that we were talking about this, Mr. Beasley, Darrell, got on the phone with the county commissioner and explained where we were, that they were putting two, they were committing to two, that the grant was for $500,000. And he mentioned to the county commissioner, he said, can you all help with it or do something with the balance? And then the county commissioner came back and said, well, I think what I could recommend to the commissioners is that if y'all pay half and we'll pay half of the $60,000, which is about, let's say, $30,000 apiece. And knowing what we had to do to get connected to the well, what we had to do to get connected to the tank, the other operations that we'd already done in acquiring right-of-ways and dealing with what we've had to do with the project, and what else we had to do to make this whole thing work. I, on behalf of y'all, and that's what I'd sold you for initially, thought that somebody, this is where I'm agreeing somewhat with Rainey, that somebody needed to come in and help us, since we're willing to have the, see, right now, we're putting in a water line, 12-inch water line, that's pulling off of the 3 wells that we own, that we pay the bill on, that we maintain and keep up, and every 3 years we have to repaint and do all this. We've got the source behind it. So I was, and here again, I think I was making a pretty good trade. So I told the commissioner on the phone, he was on the speakerphone, I said, look, what I want you to do is we've already dealt with this thing before. And we've been a little disappointed that we were thought that the company was putting in $350,000. I'm asking you to go to your commissioners and ask them to put $61,000 in this thing. And that's the way I left it. Since then, I've talked to several of the commissioners, and they seem to think that they are willing to help us with this. And if they're not, I'm pretty much, we already making all sorts of commitments, providing everything. And if the county commissioners will put the $61,000, the Beasley does the 2, and the 5 contingent upon the grant coming through, I think we should do the project. If that don't happen, I'm not in favor of it.
Well, everybody else is talking, I guess I am too. My thing to the citizens and to this council, I'm gonna say what I said from the beginning. I don't know what's the big hurry. Before we do anything, we need to make sure we can get that money from the state. Our jobs is paramount, both the elected officials of the county and the city. No matter what, we need jobs in Hazlehurst, and whatever we can do to get them here. We need those jobs, and those people that had business need to put Hazlehurst and Jeff Davis County people to work. They need to put out subcontractors, get those people jobs. That's why we put this money into these businesses, to help them. And I'm a little perplexed tonight. Y'all been doing the negotiating, gentlemen. Somebody from out there should have been here to represent that company. With this kind of money, somebody should have been here to be able to talk for them. We are taking it on ourselves to want to help this business. Now, I'm not a business leader, and I don't know about nobody else, but I know how I would run mine. If I couldn't be there, my secretary would. So you got to be let's see the right word to say now, I don't want it wrong, put it in the paper, the radio. You got to be receptive. You got to be receptive. We talking about people alive, and we talking about taxpayers' money. We talking about all that. And what makes it so bad? Everybody is having to pay it, and we supposed to be good stewards for that money. So if we're gonna do it, and we want to take a chance to help this business, the council is wanting to help this business. What was said here and what was said yonder, you know,